Recording has begun.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name is Shazad Hussain and I live at 20 Primary Way, Bradford, Undercliff. And today it's been 136 days since my brother's been kidnapped from my care by the authorities. And since the 8th of August 2023. And today is Friday, the 22nd of December 2023. And it's very unlikely, I'm not going to be seeing my brother for Christmas. I've tried to contact the police, I've tried to contact the council. They basically don't care. They don't give a damn. They don't. It's just unprecedented that they're now detaining my brother like this. And as I was saying to the social workers, the last time they took my brother was from the 3rd of August 2018 until the 14th of December 2018. So he basically was unlawfully kidnapped then, and that was a period of 134 days, I believe. So in that period of 134 days, my brother was tortured. He was not allowed any freedoms. He was detained by the hospital staff through the council's contrivances, and then subsequently released back to me with a great deal of effort on my part. That was 134 days. Now we're on 136 days since the 8th of August 2023 until today, the 22nd of December 2023. And similarly, they have not they've not managed to achieve what they wanted to achieve, which is basically trying to get my brother a mental capacity assessment carried out on my brother. They've not achieved that this time, not last time. There's no basis for it. It's all lies and deceptions, but at the same time, the powers that be are controlling the courts, tribunal systems. So there's been some development today, as I was previously alluding to. Plans were underway, and as you can see from my recordings, there were plans underway to stage events to corral and railroad me into a detrimental situation, which they now have achieved through a limited restraint order. But the villainy and the malevolence and the cruelty that they're doing against me goes against their own conscience, and therefore they make systemic mistakes, Freudian slips and errors of judgment, that because of the fact that because they're knowingly committing acts of fraud. So that obviously it's not something that you can do straightforwardly. The example I give is that, just imagine there's 2 points, and I wanted to draw a straight line between 2 points, because that is the most efficient way to get from point A to point B, a direct line. If I got a ruler and put a ruler between point A and point B, I just can quickly make a line, and that line is going to be straight. It's going to be the most efficient way from getting to point A, from point A to point B. I could try freehand, but it's not going to be as straight. It's going to be wiggly and wobbly. But if I don't even have a ruler and I don't have any principled knowing how I'm going to get from point A to B, I'm just going to make a big squiggly line because there is no rules in place. That's what the point of a ruler is, to have some rules in place. Presently, what's happening is that the local authority are removing any rules or safeguards in place and abusing the position of power and authority. And what's openly happening there is, rather than getting a straight line, we're getting a lot of noise on that line. And that noise is fraud, deception, corruption, errors, mistakes, backtracking, making allegations, all sorts of unnecessariness. And that's because things that can be efficient from point A to point B, put a ruler between the 2 points and draw a line straight away. It can be done very quickly, very efficiently, and very clearly. But however, these people don't want to work with the rules because they want to go beyond the rules, and they're doing something very inefficient. And then as a result of their inefficiencies of frauds and lies and deceptions, they're then penalizing me by putting in a civil restraint order by the judge. And by putting the civil restraint order in, they've just got caught out once again, because the judge cannot make this judgment without giving direction from somebody. The courts have stated that we don't want, the court staff have then instructed the judge, a circuit judge, to make a civil restraint order against me, which they were alluding to previously, and they've just got caught out. And so what they want to do is they want to disadvantage me by restricting my ability to put appeal applications in, so they can, because that's obviously detrimental to them. So you see how they've got an objective, and that objective is fraudulent and deceptive and corruptive and against my interests. There are certain stumbling blocks in that way, and it's taken a year to get this far. So one of the things is my brother having capacity. So they've removed my brother from the scene, so therefore that's not a stumbling block. The other stumbling block is that as soon as an order is put in place, I put an appeal in because it's obviously fraudulent. Now what they've done is they're limiting my ability to put an appeal in. So basically everything has been railroaded to this specific objective, which is to my detriment, and everybody's forcing me to go down this road, which is going to be to my detriment and not to my best interest, and it's going to end up resulting in the fatality of my brother. And that's exactly what they've done on previous occasions, where they are railroading me to go down a path which is in their benefit. And one of the ways that they can achieve that is, the best way they can achieve that is for me to get a solicitor, because they need a representative that they can buy off. So because I'm not getting a solicitor, they can't buy off a representative. That's what they did exactly to me last time in the court of protection. They were forcing me to get a solicitor. When I got a solicitor, the solicitor turned against me and said I lack litigation capacity, and it was all just a kerfuffle. And then my mum, they murdered my mother under these circumstances. So now that once again, they desperately want me to get a solicitor, and now they're leaving me with no option but to get a solicitor, because they're limiting and restricting my communications. And the court staff have done this. They've had a meeting. They've come to the conclusion that, look, we need to restrict this guy for our benefits, because obviously he's going to expose our lies and deceptions. And so all the judges are involved. They made District Judge Wilcox a judge in this case. For the direct benefit and purpose of railroading a nefarious outcome that they've pre-purchased. The local authority have pre-purchased to my detriment. So that was supposed to be done on the 30th of November. So they got made Judge Wilcox a judge. Previously, the judge was District Judge Hickinbottom, who recused himself from the case because of the allegations of fraud I was making. They've also recruited me, District Judge Foster. Now I understand he's another one of their shills. They've got key people in the courts that are their members, basically. They're not impartial. They basically working for the interest of the local authority. So District Judge Foster, he previously put in an injunction order on the 30th of September last year, when I was not even present, and I asked for an adjournment. So that was clearly fraudulent. They've got District Judge Mitchell involved since May this year, since April, May this year, because obviously the District Judge Wilcox was a bit hesitant to be on this case, and then they must have reinstigated her or something. I'm not sure what's happening in the background, but then also they've got an appeal judge. The appeal judge, Circuit Judge Grosno's involved, and he's clearly evident to me what they've done. They've recruited his services, but they keep on making these damn silly mistakes. And I'm pulling them up on the mistakes, and then I'm being persecuted and victimized for pulling them on the systemic failures and mistakes. And they're not systemic failures and mistakes. It's because they're trying to do something fraudulent and failing. And because they're failing, then I'm pulling them up on it, and then they're getting angry with me and, restricting and limiting my resources. They've already taken my brother away. They've taken my brother away to give me psychological torture. So they're psychologically torturing me because of their insistence on the covering up their own frauds. And the more that they're doing, the more that they're exposing themselves, the more they're cornering themselves into a corner. And as a result of which, they're going to then attack me and attack my vulnerable family members. And this is just an ongoing thing now for the last 10 years, since July, August 2012. So we're now over 11 years ago, covertly they've been doing it for the last since I believe 2002, if not 2000. So it's basically been about 21 up to 23 years that they've been targeting and victimizing me and trying to break me. But as you can see, I'm unfragile. I'm not a fragile person that's going to break so easily, even though they're trying to put me into this position. But it's just this level of injustice that's taking place. And I just remind myself that I was speaking to somebody regarding the injustice generally in the judicial system, with the introduction of the IPP, indefinite prisoner protection orders that they put in place. That was clear injustice by the Home Secretary at the time, David Blunkett, and it's still going on now. It just surprises me that this issue has still not been resolved, even though the IPPs have been banned since 2012, over 10 years ago, and it's still ongoing. And it just shows you that this is not a mistake. The IPP, I don't believe, indefinite public protections, is not a mistake. They were deliberately introduced for specific purposes in order to silence certain people, and I believe that under different circumstances they would love to coach me and corral me into falling foul of the IPP myself, or it's a replacement, so they can keep me indefinitely in prison, so I stop them from exposing the fraud and corruption. I mean, there's plenty of evidence that they've now got that I've been a public nuisance by getting my GP practices to make false allegations against me, getting the court staff to make false allegations against me, getting my relatives and family members to make false allegations against me, whilst I myself have been caring for the most vulnerable people in society that the local authority has a duty of care to and that have abandoned. So it's coming to be Christmas. I'm not going to see my brother. They're not going to let me see him because of their heartlessness and their cruelty and their vindictiveness. And I just should be grateful the fact that I'm not in prison right now, because that's what they would want for me. They would want me to put me into prison so they can shut me up, and they would do it because obviously if the judges are being bought off, then there's no rule of law, is there? And because there's no rule or ruler to follow, or principles of guidance, all they're doing is acting with complete disregard to the laws themselves, and are targeting and victimizing me and persecuting me and my brother, and denying us access to see each other. For what basis? For nothing. They've got nothing on me. They've taken away all the money. They've taken away, they're just now clutching at straws, trying to say that I was neglecting my brother when I'm here 24 hours a day. This whole house is for his benefit and purposes. It's not for my benefit and purposes. The vehicle outside is for his benefit, and which is not being used now. So he's being put into a position against his will. They're forcing things through. It's just all fraud and corruption, and it's all colluding and conspiring. That's the worst part of it. This all colluding and conspiring with other agencies and other institutions in order to maintain this narrative. Absolutely deplorable and deceptive of them. Absolutely horrendous. But I'll leave it there. Allah Hafiz. I'm not suicidal. I'm not going to kill myself. Obviously, I'm just down and depressed that I'm not going to see my brother for Christmas, and my brother's not going to see me for Christmas, and we're not going to have much of a family life. But then it's by design, isn't it? That's what they want us to be. They want me to be suffering and angry and vexated and lashing out, and then when I lash out, they're going to come and arrest me and put me into prison. That's what they've been trying to do for the longest of times. And inshallah, God is on my side, and we'll get a resolution soon enough. Allah Hafiz.